What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing? Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually streamed. Um, before I say anything, I want to mention about the latest episode of Vodeon. That got over almost 140 views. I want to thank everyone for that. It was very nice to see that. Um, I mean, I only have 226 subscribers, so I mean, 140 views for that amount of subscribers is pretty good. So I want to thank everyone for that. It was very kind. So yeah, so we are of course still working on the next episode. I've already finished Fight to Survive. Titus is almost done with it. Ken has not started yet because he's waiting for the books to come into the mail, but Ken's a really fast reader, so he'll get that done probably the day it comes in, maybe the day afterwards. And then we're gonna review two short stories as well. Um One of them is Death in the Catacombs and Illusion. So I think those are like insider short stories. So we're gonna review those. There was also a short story, couple of short stories in between Attack of the Clones and both at the Fight to Survive outside of Clone Trooper Falls in a Hole. Like I said, we're not reviewing absolutely everything. We're doing all the comics, all the young adult books, all of the novels, and that's it. And like I said, a couple of short stories that are important and a couple of games that are important. But we're not doing absolutely everything. We're just kind of doing, I mean, what we feel like we should do. So, I mean, we're reading the vast majority of it. So, yeah. So that episode should be coming out soon. Maybe either next weekend or the week after that. So Vodeon is going really, really well. I'm really happy with it. People seem to be loving it. So, and it's just Titus actually talked about this to he told me this after we did this that video. He was really happy about doing it because with all the negativity and all the drama in the fandom, it felt really refreshing for him to actually just sit down with EU fans and talk about the EU. You know, so because ultimately that's all I want to do, and that's what he wants to do, and I guess not everyone wants to do that, but we want to do that. So that's one of the reasons why I like bringing Titus and Ken on my streams because they just want to talk about Star Wars. So they're also close friends of mine. So there's there's that too. But yeah, so the next episode will be those three stories. Of course, the episode after that will be Crossfire. So, but yeah, I'm really happy to be. We're almost done with the first page here on the timeline. So, I'm really excited to continue this. Anyway, what else has been going on? Matt Wilkins announced, I think, a couple of weeks now, but let me see here. Something about his Legends Con meetup that he's doing later this year. I want to talk about it because I will be there. So yeah, that's coming up soon. I'm actually going to share my screen in case anyone would like to. More details are to come, but It's gonna be at the Spark by Hilton Hotel. He says, "I will be discussing details in a future video, but for now, we plan on assisting Twin Sons Foundation on a charity drive to the local Dallas hospital to donate books, host Star Wars game nights in the evenings, caravan to use bookstores, and serve of hidden EU treasure and more. As a bonus, we even secured a small conference room for everyone to gather. So anyone is welcome to attend. So if you are interested, it is in Dallas. So yeah, I thought I would mention that because I mean I'm planning on being there, but I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are not gonna be there that I want to meet. And if I'm probably just gonna be there for a day. I'm probably not gonna do all 3 days. So let me see here. Yeah, I know Brennan's not coming, but anyway, if you're interested in coming, you're always welcome, of course. Or everyone's welcome. Hmm, there's really nothing else to talk about. That's coming up, vote on stuff. Um, that's kind of it. So, not a whole lot to talk about. I guess I can kind of give a hint on how I felt about Fight to Survive. I felt, we'll just say it like this. I don't agree with Matt's view of the book. I don't really agree with his take on it. I didn't think it was too bad. So that's all. Well, of course, I'll get into the details later, but did not. I watched his review. Well, I watched his reread of it. I didn't watch his original review of it, but I watched his reread. Uh, I I think I like his. I think everyone loves his original Expanded Universe series because of that awesome intro, and it was sort of like the first time Matt, at least, because Matt talked about defense. He defended the EU, and then he got like myself, kind of got tired of it because had that he got to a point where it was just regurgitating arguments and it was just going nowhere. So it's like I'm just gonna celebrate the EU now by doing EU review. So it's kind of like the first time we heard Matt actually talk about the EU itself in terms of its stories, and we got to hear his thoughts on that. But I prefer his reread because it's his updated thoughts, I guess. Because the whole premise of that series was he was rereading the EU and then reviewing it. So I prefer that because the book was so fresh on his mind. So we got a little fresher, fresh view of it from him. So, but I watched that review. Um, like I said, didn't 100% agree with everything he had to say. I didn't think it was too bad. Um, but yeah. So what else is going on in Star Wars? Not a whole lot right now. Not with Andor being over. I am thinking about doing a review of Andor, like actually just sitting down and like reviewing the whole series because I did love it. I thought it was wonderful. Um, you know, finally some good Star Wars, right? At least in terms of Disney canon. It's taken them what was the last good Mando season 1? It's the last time Star Wars are good. I mean, you could say, well, Clone Wars season 7 wasn't too bad either. I actually did enjoy that, for what it's worth. Um, well, no one's really watching. Two people are watching. I might end the stream early. I don't know. trying to think what is going on in the mainstream Star Wars world. Is there anything? Ooh, I know what I can talk about. Battlefront 2. Let's talk about that. I do wanna get my thoughts on that. I don't know if I have already, but I'm gonna do it again, even if if I have, I'll just do it again, but I wanna talk about that because I've played Battlefront 2 I've played it since 2019. I used to play it kinda religiously but that was, like, in high school at the time. Nowadays, I don't play it as much. I play it ever so often now. Um, but I felt that it was not the best choice for DICE to stop updating. Now I know it was not their choice. It was EA, probably Disney. And that's something we've heard a lot of, like, in terms of, like, creative decisions and what they're what they wanna put in the game, it doesn't they have to have Disney's approval, Lucasfilm's approval, more specifically. So, I think one of the DICE developers actually mentioned that was one of the hurdles they had with Ahsoka and Ventress being added to the game was because and I don't like Ahsoka as a character, but I think she would've been fun to play as, and she would've been a fun addition to the game. Um, but, they've talked about how you know, one of the big hurdles of adding her and Ventress to the game was Disney Lucasfilm. And I don't know, and EA is just a terrible video game company. I mean, anyone who plays video games knows how terrible of a company that is. They're terrible. They make terrible games. They um they make terrible games. The way they treat their customers is terrible. So honestly, if they're gonna do Battlefront 3, I don't want EA to have anything to do with it. I just don't. Because I think EA sucks. I think DICE is not a good video game developer either. And people say, "Well, Battlefront was doing really good things." I mean, yeah, they were adding content, but at the same time, the game is now buggier and glitchier than it ever has been before. And not because of the resurgence, but just because it's just how the game is now. The game is incomplete. It's not finished. Whatever a finished Battlefront 2 would look like, that's not it. Because that game is buggy, it's glitchy, doesn't always work properly. Um, it's just a very buggy, glitchy game, and I really wish that DICE, at the very least, would come back and fix the frickin' bugs that are in the game. I think I would prefer that more than content. The game is there's problems with the game now. Um, I think a YouTuber that really that really exposes I don't wanna say exposing it as if it's a secret, but that does a good job of explaining is Anarchy Ninja. I don't know if anyone's ever seen his videos. He's a Battlefront YouTuber, um, but he talks about the game is in a terrible place right now, not just because of lack of content, but the glitches and the bugs are just everywhere. I mean, it's terrible. It makes the game really hard to play. Um, it it's just a problematic. It really is. Um But do I support Battlefield 3? I think it would be cool, but I don't want EA or DICE to do it. I want someone else to do it. I don't know who that could be, but someone else besides, EA DICE. Um, so that's just my thoughts on that. But Star Wars gaming has been kind of in a disaster since LucasArts was shut down. I think that's a good way to put it. Um, I don't know. But that's my opinion on that topic. And also, Battlefront 2 had a resurgence. I don't think it's because of the game itself. I think it's because of Andor. I think once people, when there's good Star Wars out, everything else in Star Wars will sell well. It'll do well. I think Andor being Rebellion era story had people wanting to go fight, actually fight in the rebellion. So they got on Battlefront 2. So and they got on Battlefront 2 because it's the latest, multiplayer, shooter game that Lucasfilm has released, and it's just that simple. So, in combination also with the Star Wars season on Fortnite and the May 4th event on Battlefront 2 that they did. So, which is just really cheap heroes. It's called Heroes Unleashed. They do it every year. So, and the Tales from the Underworld. I think that also. I mean, it was just a lot of things going on this time. This time of the year. There always is every year with Star Wars. So that's why it did so well, or Battlefront 2 was doing so well. And then of course people were like, okay, there's actually a resurgence. Let's actually see if we can make this an opportunity to have DICE make another Battlefront. But it reminds me, I really sympathize with Battlefront fans because you know what a lot of what they're going through sounds like with us? Kind of sounds like what happened to the EU, doesn't it? Their game was canceled abruptly, and now they're fighting to get it back. Doesn't that kind of sound like what we're fighting for as EU fans? Our story was canceled. We're fighting to get it back. Isn't that kind of what we're doing? So I sympathize a lot with Battlefront fans, and I hope they can sympathize with us as well, because I feel like what happened to both the things that we enjoy, it's pretty much the same. So I really do sympathize with Battlefront fans for that reason. Um, Anyway, I'm going to end the stream because I don't really have anything else to say. No one's commenting or anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys very much for watching. Y'all have a good one.